Hey you, yes, you. Welcome to Francis's Wisdom, the place where we dive deep into the heart of Pope Francis's teachings to find light, hope, and purpose. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell, because today we're about to embark on a journey that could change your life forever. Imagine discovering a prayer so powerful, so simple, that it shocked the entire world. Yes, the world. A prayer that didn't just touch hearts but transformed them, sparked a global movement, and brought people closer to God in ways they never thought possible. That's what we're talking about today, the life-changing prayer that shocked the world, straight from the wisdom of Pope Francis. And let me tell you something personal. I thought prayer was just words, a routine I'd go through to check a box. But then I tried this prayer, and in just 1 week, it turned my life upside down. I'm not exaggerating. My heart opened, my fears faded, and I felt God's presence like never before. Want to know what this prayer is and how it can change your life? Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll not only know this prayer, but feel inspired to make it part of your daily walk with God. Let's start with a moment of honesty. Have you ever felt like your prayers are just floating out there? Like you're speaking into a void, unsure if anyone's listening? I've been there. Picture this. It was a cold, gray evening, and I was sitting in my living room staring at my phone, scrolling mindlessly. Life was heavy. My job was a pressure cooker. Deadlines piling up, bosses breathing down my neck. My mom was battling a chronic illness, and every hospital visit left me more worried. And my faith? Well, it was hanging by a thread. I grew up Catholic, raised on the Our Father, the Hail Mary, the Rosary with my grandma. But somewhere along the way, prayer became a habit, not a connection. I'd kneel by my bed, rattle off a list of requests, help mom, fix my work stress, keep my kids safe, and then crawl into bed, wondering if God even heard me. Sound familiar? Maybe you've felt that emptiness too, that nagging question. Is my prayer doing anything? That night, as I scrolled, I stumbled across a clip of Pope Francis speaking in St. Peter's Square. His voice was warm, his eyes full of compassion, and he was talking about prayer, not as a duty, but as a lifeline. He said, "Prayer is the key that opens the heart to God's surprises. It's not about formulas, it's about trust." Those words hit me like a wave. Trust? Surprises? I realized I wasn't trusting God. I was just going through the motions. That's when I decided to dig deeper, to find a prayer that could rekindle my faith. And that's when I found it. The prayer that Pope Francis calls a revolution, the one that shocked the world with its power, the prayer of abandonment, inspired by Blessed Charles de Foucault. This prayer isn't just words, it's a way of living, a surrender to God that can transform your heart and your life. Let me take you on a journey through my experience, Pope Francis's teachings, and the global impact of this prayer, so you can see why it's so special and how it can change you too. First, let me share what happened when I tried this prayer. I was skeptical, I'll admit. A single prayer changing my life? Come on. But Pope Francis's words stuck with me, so I decided to give it a shot. The prayer of abandonment is short, about 70 words, but it's profound. It goes like this. Father, I abandon myself into your hands. Do with me what you will. Whatever you may do, I thank you. I am ready for all. I accept all. Let only your will be done in me and in all your creatures. I wish no more than this, O Lord. Into your hands I commend my soul. I offer it to you with all the love of my heart, for I love you, Lord, and so need to give myself, to surrender myself into your hands without reserve and with boundless confidence, for you are my Father. I committed to praying it every morning and night for a week. Day 1 was awkward. My mind wandered, and the words felt strange. Day 2 wasn't much better. But by day 3, something shifted. I started to feel a quiet peace, like a weight lifting off my shoulders. By day 5, I noticed I was different at work. Normally, I'd snap when a colleague messed up, but that day, I listened, I helped, and I felt lighter. By the end of the week, I had a moment I'll never forget. I was in my car, praying the prayer, and suddenly, I felt God's presence so strongly that tears poured down my face. Not tears of sadness, tears of joy, of knowing I wasn't alone. That week, my mom's health improved unexpectedly. The doctors were baffled, but I knew it was connected to the trust and peace this prayer brought me. And here's the incredible part. I wasn't alone. As I shared my story, I learned this prayer had touched millions, sparking headlines and a global movement. Why? Because it's not just a prayer, it's a way to live with fearless trust in God. Let's talk about what makes this prayer so powerful. At its heart, it's about surrender, not giving up, but giving over to God. In a world where we're obsessed with control, planning every detail, chasing success, avoiding failure, this prayer says, God, I trust you, even when I don't understand. Pope Francis shared it in a 2014 homily, calling it a shock to the soul, because it wakes us up to God's presence. He was inspired by Blessed Charles de Foucauld, a French hermit who lived among the poor in Algeria, dedicating his life to simplicity and service. Charles wrote this prayer to express his total trust in God, and Pope Francis saw its potential to change lives in our modern world. Why did it shock the world? Picture 2014, wars raging in the Middle East, economic struggles, natural disasters. People were desperate for hope. When Pope Francis shared this prayer, it spread like wildfire. Social media lit up with stories. A mother in Brazil reconciled with her son after years of estrangement. A priest in Nigeria found peace amid violence. A teacher in the U.S. overcame anxiety. Vatican News called it a spiritual revolution, and Catholic News Agency reported thousands of parishes adopting it during the 2015-2016 Year of Mercy. Its simplicity, 70 words anyone can memorize, made it universal, but its depth made it transformative. It's not tied to one culture or language. It speaks to our shared struggles, fear, doubt, the need for meaning. That's why it's not just a prayer, it's a movement. Now, let's dive into Pope Francis's teachings on prayer, because this prayer is just one piece of his incredible wisdom. For Pope Francis, prayer is the heartbeat of faith. In his 2020 General Audience series, he said, "Prayer is the breath of the soul. Without it, our faith suffocates." He sees prayer as a relationship, a conversation with God that changes us from the inside out. He emphasizes 3 things: openness to God's will, simplicity, and action. The prayer of abandonment hits all 3. It's about saying, God, your will, not mine, in a simple, heartfelt way, and then living that trust through love and service. One of my favorite moments from his papacy was March 27, 2020, during the COVID-19 pandemic. Picture this: St. Peter's Square, empty, rain pouring down. Pope Francis stands alone, holding the Blessed Sacrament, praying for the world. His voice trembled as he pleaded for God's mercy. That moment, broadcast to millions, wasn't the prayer of abandonment, but it carried its spirit: total trust in God amid fear. People of all faiths watched, moved by his vulnerability. It showed me that prayer isn't just personal. It's a force that unites us, heals us, and gives us hope. Pope Francis draws from saints like Ignatius of Loyola, whose spiritual exercises teach discernment through prayer, and Thérèse of Lisieux, whose little way is about simple trust. He starts his day with the Liturgy of the Hours and often ends with a prayer of surrender, like the one we're exploring. His life shows us that prayer isn't about perfection. It's about showing up day after day with an open heart. Let's ground this in Scripture, because the prayer of abandonment isn't new. It's rooted in the Bible. Think of Jesus in Gethsemane, Matthew 26:39, praying, "Not as I will, but as you will." That's the essence of abandonment, trusting God even in pain. Or the Lord's Prayer, Matthew 6:9-13, with "Thy will be done," teaching us to align with God's plan. Psalm 23, "The Lord is my shepherd," speaks of trust in God's care, while Romans 8:28 assures us, "All things work together for good for those who love God." These verses show the prayer's timeless truth, brought to life by Pope Francis for our world. Historically, prayer has always been a game changer. The Desert Fathers in the 3rd century lived in constant prayer, inspiring Charles de Foucault centuries later. Saint Augustine's prayers in his Confessions transformed his sinful life. St. Francis of Assisi's prayer for peace shaped a movement. In the 20th century, St. Faustina's Divine Mercy devotion, championed by Pope John Paul II, spread trust in God's love. Pope Francis builds on this, making prayer urgent for today's challenges: division, stress, loss of faith. So, why did this prayer shock the world? In 2014, it was a radical call to trust in a distrustful world. It spread on social media. Prayer of abandonment trending globally showed its power. People shared stories. A man in Mexico found courage to forgive his brother. A nurse in Italy found peace during long hospital shifts. Parishes worldwide adopted it, and its impact continues today. It's shocking because it's so simple, yet so profound, asking us to let go of fear and embrace God's love. How can you make this prayer part of your life? Let's get practical. First, start small. Pray it once a day, slowly, letting the words sink in. Pope Francis says, God hears a sincere heart, not a long speech. Second, create a sacred space. A quiet corner, a candle, a cross. Make it yours. Third, reflect on God's will. After praying, ask, what's God calling me to do today? Maybe it's forgiving someone or helping a stranger. Fourth, act on it. Prayer should lead to love. Call a friend, volunteer, smile at someone. Fifth, share it. Pray with your family or parish, building a community of trust. Let me tell you about my friend Maria. She was drowning in anxiety, job stress, family drama. I shared the prayer of abandonment with her, and she started praying it daily. A month later, she was different, calmer, kinder. She joined her church's outreach program, finding purpose in helping others. That's what this prayer does. It doesn't erase problems. It changes how you face them. You might be thinking, this sounds great, but what if I don't feel anything? Or I'm too busy? Pope Francis gets it. He says prayer isn't about feelings. It's about showing up. If you're distracted, write the prayer down. If you're busy, pray it in a spare minute, while driving, washing dishes, waiting in line. If you doubt it works, look for small signs, more patience, a kind word from someone, a moment of peace. God's answers are often quiet, but they're real. This prayer isn't just personal, it's global. In the Philippines, a parish's 30-day challenge led to healed marriages and renewed faith. In Italy, a woman overcame depression through it. Pope Francis's own life was shaped by it as a young Jesuit, moving from pride to service. These stories show its power to transform, one heart at a time. In our world, full of noise, division, fear, This prayer is a lifeline. Pope Francis says, "A world without prayer is a world without hope." It opens our hearts to others, making us brothers and sisters, as he writes in Fratelli Tutti. It's not easy, surrender is scary, but it's worth it. Every time you pray it, you're saying, "God, I trust you." And that trust changes everything. So here's my challenge. Try the prayer of abandonment for 1 week. Pray it daily, reflect on its words, and watch for God's surprises. Share your story in the comments. I want to hear how it impacts you. And if this video moved you, give it a thumbs up, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to Francis's Wisdom for more inspiration. Let's build a community of faith, one prayer at a time. God bless you, and let's keep praying together.